Shag blunt, you know what I'm saying? It's going down.
Welcome to this week's JS Report. We have two special guests, Coach Marshall, Coach McDaniel. These two men have something in common, undefeated records. So we pay tribute to the guy who discovered the number 0. Thanks for nothing.
All right, my first take, one of the most improved football teams out there right now. And FACS Crusaders, Mitch McDaniel joining the coach. Thank you again for coming back on. First of all, what do you think about the season overall so far for the Memphis area high school community so far?
Man, there's good teams. You know, the city of Memphis has great players, great coaches. You know, you've got all the way from the big 6A schools to the big private schools, all the way down to, you know, the small privates, and I think even with small privates, we got great players and coaches too. So I think all around, the city's in a good spot right now.
I think this year is probably one of the best talents that we've seen in a while, to be honest with you, from top to bottom.
Yeah, you know, Memphis always produces great players, and they always have guys playing at the next level, and guys move on to play in the big league, and it's just a great representation of the city. You know, you hear all the bad and the negatives in the city every day, and I think for us, one of the brightest spots for us as coaches, man, is to see these kids have a chance to excel and get out of here and move on to bigger and better things.
Absolutely. Let's talk about your season so far with me. You're off to a great start. You're undefeated. So just talk about the first few games. You beat MLK 70-0. Lakeland Prep, I thought it was going to be maybe a competitive game for a little bit in the first half, to be honest with you, because Lakeland, you know, you guys never really know how to go against the Lakeland, you know, because they're a younger team. West Carroll, 19-14. Just talk about that game. We talked about it, me and Thomas talked about it a couple weeks ago, where you ought to come back in that game, 19-14.
You know, we were 2-8 last year, 4-6 the year before that. So I had to really sit down with our coaching staff and really evaluate us first, and see what we needed to do and change. And we've had to make some changes offensively, defensively into what we were doing to make sure that we can take our players and put them in a spot to succeed. You know, we open up with MLK, great man over there, and they came over, and you know, we got a lot of young kids, some experience on the field, and then Lakeland comes over, and you know, being freshmen and sophomores, they you know, they kind of tried to do some things to throw us off, and we were able to jump out early like we were hoping. And then you get into West Carroll, and we knew that they were a playoff team from last year. Our goal, obviously, is to get into the playoffs and see what we can do. And they had some players. They had an H-back that was 6'3", 220 pounds, and they tried to run right at us. And I think we ended up having the ball. I think we ran 22 offensive plays the entire game. Last year and the previous year, we felt like a game like that, we would have laid down, we would have bowed out. Right. This year we have a group with a different mentality, a different edge, a different nastiness to them, and so for us to win that game was huge for us. I don't think people understand how big that was for us to win. Right. You know, and then obviously, you know, we go up to Brewston with a hostile environment on the road.
Environment the kids haven't seen before.
Yeah, and what people don't understand is for our senior group, that was the first road win in 4 years. So it was huge for us as we, you know, take this bye week and go into the regular ending of it.
Just talk about some players that stood out to me so far for your team. Is Brian Shields, he's been running the ball pretty well lately. Braxton Miller also. And then, hey, your defense, where do you get these guys from? No kidding.
Man, so
these 3 players I've been tackling like crazy lately.
well, so Brian obviously is a dynamic player. We moved him to tailback, which was a big risk for us. We thought going into the preseason. Obviously, it's paid off. It makes us look good, but at the end of the day, man, he's a great player.
Right.
He's got 16 touchdowns in 4 games. He's averaging over 19 yards a carry. You forget about the linemen up front. The game is won and lost up front. And what people don't know is we start 2 freshmen and 2 sophomores on the offensive line. You got Bryson Miller, who's got 8 carries, I think, on the year, and he's got 7 touchdowns. He's a sophomore. Speaks a lot about him and his development. We feel like we've got a bunch of playmakers with our quarterback that's a senior. We've got Robert Ivy on the outside. It's a dynamic receiver. We've got a young receiver away from him, and J.J. Davis, who's a sophomore. So we feel like we've got some athletes that we've moved around. Defensively, man, they've taken a completely different mindset than in the past. 2 years ago, we scrimmaged Sheffield, and they came over and physically whipped us.
Right.
And I think it helps us going against some of those teams in the preseason to get us ready for the physical competition, and our guys have done good. One thing we've done as a staff is we said, you know what, we're going to put 22 guys on the field and let them get as much work, and hopefully we can grow and prepare. So we've got one guy that plays both ways. It's our quarterback. Everybody else is a one-way player.
And that's key for a division like y'all.
Oh, it's huge, and I think in the long run it's going to pay off. Now, we ain't got a bunch of depth. People talk about, FACS is running up the score, doing this and that, which is not the case. But at the end of the day, if with us in the numbers, we're 33 kids. So a lot of our backup offensive players are starters on defense. So when we're rotating some of these guys, we got to get them reps at the end of the game. In case we don't stay healthy, we got to make sure that we got other guys ready to go.
Absolutely. And just, Trey Wampler has stood out the last couple of games as well, averaging double-digit in tackles, And then also Josh Wright has picked up double-digit tackles lately, the last couple of games too for you.
Man, Trey's a sophomore leader of our defense, playing middle linebacker in our defensive scheme. He's got to be a player. Our defensive coordinator is actually his dad, who has done a great job for us. Coming in, running a different scheme. We preach every day that we've got to be nasty and we got to tackle people. So we do a bunch of tackling every day, which is hard because we're so low on numbers. Mm-hmm. But I think this group's different. Our quarterback, Josh Wright, plays middle linebacker, which you don't see very often. And when he can come in the week of our jamboree and look at us as a staff and say, Coach, this group is just different. We didn't know what that different was, but we're seeing it. We're seeing it in practice. We're seeing it how we prepare. So, man, God's been good. God's been good to us and keeps providing for us, being a little bitty school like we are. It's been great for our kids to have a little bit of success moving forward.
My last question for you, before you get, this is your bye week, like you just mentioned. What kind of practice routine, or is it just like workout stuff, like weights, and then maybe a little bit of fundamental stuff here and there? Or how does your week plan out for your kind of week going into next Friday?
We're preparing, and we're doing some things for these next 2 coming up. We've got 2 big region games coming up. We know it. Getting guys healthy. We continue to work out every day. This week we were on the field Monday, Tuesday. We're going to be on the field on Thursday to give them Friday and let them go enjoy and be a kid. Getting rehabbed and all those things, making sure our body's taken care of, because we know these last 6 are going to be, it's going to be wars, and So we're trying to make sure that we can do everything that we can on our end to make sure the kids are ready.
All right, Mitch. Last question again. I'm sorry about that. If anybody wants to keep up to date regarding FACS football, what kind of social media can they follow you at?
We've got Facebook page, FACS Football. We have a Twitter page, is FACS FB, I believe. We try to do a great job on social media. Again, it's giving the kids the exposure. It's giving the program the exposure that they hadn't had in the last couple of years. So we're all over the social media page world.
Well, if anybody wants to go see them play Harding, that's next Friday night. Mitch, thank you again.
Appreciate you.
Take one. All right, my take two. Another most improved team in the area right now. CJ Marshall for the Bolton High School Wildcats. CJ, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
CJ, first of all, how's your impact so far? What do you think about the Memphis area high school football season so far as a whole?
It's definitely been more competitive than it has been in the past. With Memphis having the stigmatism of being a basketball city, of course, it's always good to be able to show that we play good football down here in West Tennessee as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, from top to bottom, like I told Mitch, it's done pretty well. Anybody can beat anybody on a given night.
Right.
So, CJ, you're off to a great start. Just like Mitch over here in FACS, you're undefeated. You beat a good team in Tresnet, 37-24, first game. Just talk about that game. It's where I think your quarterback definitely showed how much improved he has been in the last couple of years.
Tresvant definitely was the most important game on my schedule, for us, because in the last 4 years we've started the season 0-1. And I definitely believe as a head coach trying to, establish culture and build a program, it's always important to go 1-0, especially that first week. So being able to play against a top team or a hard-nosed team like Tresvant, who competes well in their regions, and they also was in the state championship not too long ago, it was definitely big getting a win against a team like that.
Absolutely. And then y'all beat MLK 55-0. And then that first region game against Lakeland, y'all beat them at their place 44-7. But let's talk about that mindset for that first region game for the guys to say, okay, this is a new region now. Just talk about how the guys can prepare for that region.
So like I just said about the Tresvant game, going 1-0 is vital. So of course we did it to start the season off, and then going to region play. You always want to start off going 1-0. Playing a team like Lakeland, like you said, it was tricky. Not knowing a whole lot about their organization, their school, the dynamics of the kids they have. So it definitely took film preparation to get ready for that team. But as it pertains to the region we in now, Region 8, being in Region 7 3A, as you all know, is one of the most competitive leagues in 3A in the entire state. Both teams, Covington and Dyersburg, they pretty much take turns finishing fourth or making it to state, in 3A. So coming from a league like that was extremely competitive week in, week out, and now moving to Region 8 3A in the city to where it's also competitive. Just like I said when I interviewed with Memphis Sports Zone, we have the best of both worlds. Understanding the dynamics of the city where we are, and also having the experience of playing the Region 7 3A teams from previous years. I think we definitely be prepared, for now and the playoffs.
Absolutely. And then y'all beat Wooddale, which, the other, like I talked about with Thomas last week, that could have been like a feisty matchup from both sides. Both teams really, that was a key region victory for y'all, first of all, to get that win against Wooddale, 49-20. So just talk about that game in general a little bit more in detail if you don't mind.
Coach Starnes, he's doing a very good job at Wooddale. He's kind of in a situation I was in a few years ago, taking over a program where, it doesn't have a whole lot for what it is he's trying to do, and taking what he has and making it work. I would say, like I said, the previous 4 years for me, I was in the same situation. Not necessarily having the kids that, fit the scheme that we want to run offensively and defensively at Bolton. We had to adjust and make it work. And of course, with being able to win a few ball games, we were able to attract some kids to add to what we already have and get to where we are now.
Yeah, I seen where like we talked about, your quarterback has definitely improved the last couple of years. I I think he's got a little bit more deep ball now, you
Yeah.
know, in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But let's talk about some other players, you know, that have stood out to y'all in general, if you don't mind.
Like you said, Darian Washington, he's a junior class 2025. He's a hard-nosed kid, a hard worker, a leader. He came in his freshman year in the summertime. My original starting quarterback had broke his neck 2 weeks before the season started. So as an offensive coordinator and head coach, when your best player go down 2 weeks before the season, you know, you try not to panic and try to adjust and make it work. So Darian came in. He was resilient. He bought in. He learned the base offense and got us through the season. But he definitely grown tremendously, like you said, in the weight room. He's more explosive. His arm is a lot stronger, so we can stretch the field more. Sophomore running back Desmond Smith. He was all region last year as a freshman. He's pretty much lighting it up this year. And I can go on with different guys I have in my program. Up front, I have senior leadership in Jordan Hiley. He's my left tackle. Brian Jenkins, who's my right guard. Those guys are really taking ownership up front to make sure that, you know, we're able to move the ball at a high level like we choose to do so. Junior Desmond Stone, he's been starting since his freshman year. He's doing a good job up front. Transferring from Kingsbury High School, Osa Love, he's at guard as well, another big body, helping us get it done. Damian Jones, he transferred in as a receiver spot, dynamic playmaker. He's helping us both on offense and defense, along with Mr. Desmond Smith. So like I said, we just have guys to where they're hard-nosed, they're hard workers, want to come in and get the job done. Like I said, the last couple of years have been rebuilding years for us. So to be able to come in and compete and get to a 4-0 start is huge for our program.
You know, I've always told people, whether it's college or high school ranks, it does take about 3 to 4 years to get the right guy going.
Most definitely.
And I've always told people, I'll tell you now, but I've told you numerous times, that I think C.J. Marshall is the right guy for this job.
Appreciate that.
Just because, one, he's an alumni of Bolton High School. 2, he's been in the college football ranks before playing college football. 3, he always does put kids through high school and through college and puts them out there, whether it's D1, D2, D3, or NIA, no matter what level it is. And it just showed last year where you had a few players actually go on to the next level and play college football.
Yes, sir.
So everything that you've done for Bolton High School so far up to date, we appreciate everything that you've done for your alma mater as well.
Thank you.
And let's talk about that key region game against Sheffield tomorrow night. You know, it's at Kirby for anybody that wants to go out and watch Bolton Wildcats. Another key region game for the Wildcats. But I'm not saying you're going to give me the game plan because might have some people watching from Sheffield or whatever. But what can you do to stop their high-scoring offense and their automatic key players at different positions, like their quarterback, their receivers? Because this showed last week against, you know, good competition that they can put up some points on that scoreboard.
Right. Sheffield is definitely a great team, great organization. Coach Kirkendall, he's doing a great job with those guys over there. But it's one of those things where this is the game you get up for. Sheffield going undefeated in the region last year, being region champs. Again, being new to the region, we look at it as a statement game. Of course, when we came into this region, we felt like we had a great chance to be region champs. So that's what we expect to be, is what we looking forward to doing. So as it pertains to preparing for Sheffield, the biggest thing is making sure we are the best version of ourselves that we are. So with film study, our coaches and myself has done a great job in putting together the perfect game plan in which we feel would be beneficial for us against a team like Sheffield. Like you say, they have athletes all over the field. They have decent size up front. So it's definitely going to be a test for us to see, you know, where we are and if we're ready or not to be region champs.
Absolutely. Good luck the rest of the way, Coach Marshall. Thanks for everything they've done, like I said. And if anybody wants to go out, like I said, Bolton plays Sheffield tomorrow night at 7 o'clock at Kirby High School. So go out and support Bolton. And what's the platform for social media for the Bolton Wildcats?
So on Twitter it's BHS Wildcat, BHS_Wildcats_FB. On Facebook it's Bolton Football. And that's pretty much it for now.
Thanks, CJ.
Thank you.
All right, my take 3, Thomas Sellers comes on for the top 10 ranking Thomas, you want to go ahead and do your top 10 ranking?
For the Dynamic Power 10 of West 10 Media. It's not my top 10. How many times I got to tell you? It's sponsored by Dynamix Physical Therapy. Once again, thank y'all for sponsoring it. If you're out there towards Tipton County, North Shelby County, you're familiar with them all throughout West Tennessee, and they're hoping to have a presence with their physical therapy for not only teenage kids, but for everyone. That's Dynamic Physical Therapy. In our top 10, starting with number 10, the TRA Rebels. They're undefeated, 4-0. At 8-0 win over St. Benedict keeps them undefeated. They're at number 10. Number 9, Christian Brothers. Big win over Hillcrest, showing a little dominance there. They're holding in at number 9. Number 8, the Bolton Wildcats. 4-0. Now, they can make a big statement this week against Sheffield. That win could propel them up not only in the region, but in our rankings. When you beat the defending champs, everybody keeps doubting Bolton, questioning, are they legit, they for real? This is the week to prove it. Number 7, the Millington Trojans. I'm looking into the future. Millington versus Bolton is going to be a good game. Millington, big impressive win over Craigmont this week. They go against Kirby, another region folk. You see how firm they are in their ranking. They'll drop from number 1 to number 6, the Mumford Cougars. Statement win by Southwind. They came in, dominated on the road in Mumford, took care of business. Now Mumford has to bounce back. They fall in at number 6 in our rankings. Number 5, the MUS Owls. Another tough loss. You know, a quality opponent. I'm pretty sure that team, along with Mumford, they'll move back up into the top 10. Number 4, the FACS Crusaders. 4-0, undefeated. I think they're playing basketball again this week. Coach Mitch and the guys, 61 points that they put up. Hey, they got a small team. They just have to do what they have to do. Stop them. If you stop them, the score won't go up. But, hey, he's pointing to all those young men over there, and, hey, they're pouring it out on the field. So they're number 4. Number 3, the Collierville Dragons. Tough schedule to begin the year, and, hey, 3-1 after 4 games. That's impressive. Number 2, the Bartlett Panthers. They called their way back up after the opening loss to MUS. Big wins, and White Station coming up next on the schedule. Let's see if the Panthers can hold on number 2. And number 1, the undefeated Germantown Red Devils. You're talking about a tough schedule to begin the season with. They're 4-0 after beating Riverdale, and now they get to go against Cordova, Region 4 this week, and try to hold on to their number 1 ranking. Now we swing it over to John for his top 5.
I'm going to do top 7. Lucky number 7.
This is his show. He makes it up.
All right, number 1, Germantown Red Devils. You brought it top to bottom, tough schedule early on. Beat Houston 14-13. Come back from 17-0 down against Riverdale. You know, you just showed how the 901 is for real in that game, coming back from 17-0 down. Number 2, I'm going to still go with MUS, just the way their schedule has been, you know, early on as well. Because, you know, when you score a lot of points against that team from out east last week, and you competed from top to bottom with your D1 talent to their D1 talent, and scored 35 points and just fell short. Your defense, you know, might have came out a little bit short, but it's the way they competed against a team out east that way, you know, as well, 42-35. So MUS, congratulations to them for number 2. Number 3, I'm going to go with Bartlett. Finally kind of woke up a little bit in that after that first quarter against Arlington. So they put John Johnson back in the running back. You know, he just ran over 200 yards again last week and 5 touchdowns. Number 4, I guess I'll go with Collierville. They beat Douglas pretty handily, but Aiden Glover's still showing why he's a D1 player out there.
Yes.
Number 5, I'll go and put Mumford out there. Just, you know, I know they got shut out the way they did against Southwind, but I still think this team can make some dangerous, you know, maybe still be in the top 2 and still secure that home round playoff game in the next few weeks to come. Number 6, I'm going to go with Bolton.
Why is that?
Huh?
Let me guess, number 7 is going to be FACS?
Yeah, number 7 is going to be FACS.
Wow, I won't. Seriously?
No.
Wait. Coach Marshall and Coach McDaniel still here?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, continue.
number 6, you know, Coach Marshall has got their offense rolling at the right time right now. You know, they're putting a lot of points on the board. It was like they're an improved bunch.
We call it the Marshall plan. Yeah. Us history buffs know what that means.
We are Marshall. Number 7, FACS. Mitch McDaniel and his offense, they're pretty much putting a lot of points on the board as well lately. They got a bye week this week, so they're going to be preparing for another region test against Harding next week. So, you know, those teams that are outside of looking top 5 and top 7, just keep on battling. And, you know, a lot of good week games to come this week, Thomas. I know you'll be probably at Millington Kirby. But a lot of teams could basically decide their playoffs slate this week for the road ahead.
Yeah, so it's a very important week. It's right at the middle of the year. You know, we are at the halfway point after this week concludes for most of the teams. So you're really starting to establish your footing and what kind of program you got. And I put out a message to the young men that are standing on the sideline. Next man up is for real. So when your coach is pouring into you during the week in the weight room, in the practice, pay attention to the game plan. You never know when your number's going to be called. And you have to be out there and be ready. That separates a playoff team from a team that can make a run from a team that can make a run to a state champion. Get ready, because you never know.
Whether you're a freshman or sophomore, even a 8th grader playing, you know, with a team that can play 9 through 12 as well. Next man up, like you mentioned. And go out and support the band, go out and support the cheerleaders, and buy some stuff from the concession stand as well. And I'll look forward to y'all next week. All right, my final take this week, CJ Marshall, Desmond Howard over here. I got Pat McAfee here in the middle. We got good old Kirk Herbstreit, Mitch McDaniel over here to the left. So, college game day set, guys. Who has been your biggest surprise in college football? We'll go with you, CJ, first.
I mean, it's kind of for everybody, but mine is definitely Deion Sanders of Colorado football. It's one thing for a coach and for a team to talk about how dominant they expect to be, but to actually see them come into the Pac-12 do what they're doing, they definitely have surprised me a lot.
How many wins did you have Colorado to start the year?
I said 5-5. I said 500 initially. I gave him 5.
Yeah, I gave him 4 and 8 to start the year. Mitch, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think the same thing from what he's done to the transfer portal and the way that has all evolved, and to go into the Division I like they have, and they said that they were coming and they've came,
right.
and they will continue to come. They're dynamic on both sides of the ball with Travis Hunter obviously being a player. So you definitely, anybody that watches college football is going to say Colorado.
Right.
You know, I'm with Miami. Just the way they showed out last week, you know, against Texas A&M, putting that 48 piece on them, down in the heat, down in Texas, probably like Texas A&M, I might add.
What about Texas, though? Against Alabama?
Man, I'm not surprised.
It was a big win, though, man.
Big win on the road.
It was a big win in Tuscaloosa, man.
But I'm not surprised just because, one, their quarterback's growing.
Yeah.
You know, he's got a lot better, just like y'all's players have gotten better over the years. That Texas quarterback, I think the offense under Coach Start, you know, has got him pretty much maybe up for Heisman this year. You never know.
We'll see.
But, guys, NFL, who's your biggest surprise in week 1? Since we just had week 1 in the NFL. Other than the Rodgers injury.
I'm going to go and say the Cowboys.
I didn't want to say I'm a Cowboys.
I'm a Cowboys guy too myself. So,
the Cowboys.
you know, 40-0. As a Cowboys fan, you got to take them how you can get them.
Yeah.
So, huge surprise moving forward. They think they're going to be great on defense, which obviously they played pretty well. So we'll see how it grows into the rest of the year.
I definitely got to agree with Mitch on that one, being a fellow Cowboys fan myself. Of course, as a fan, I expect to win the game. But like Mitch stated, the way we dominated the game and winning 40-0, that was huge. So I'm definitely looking forward to what's to come for the Cowboys.
The dominance from this team was not surprising.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's what
We'll see y'all down the road.
They got lucky. He's lucky Calvin Austin couldn't do everything by himself.
We're pretty lucky. Yeah.
But, hey, how about those Dolphins winning Tua? Tua's back.
Yeah, Tua's definitely back. He definitely
400 plus yards against the Chargers.
Yeah, he definitely back.
He'll be fine. He's good. Hey, it's an Alabama guy. You gotta love Alabama guys.
True.
So, he'll be a player once it's all said and done, just like they said about Jalen Hurts. So, it's all hearsay.
And guys, good luck the rest of the season again.
Thank you.
Thank you again for coming on.
Appreciate you.
No problem.
I don't know if anybody caught the joke at the beginning, but I just wanted to close out this deal and tell you that if you could stick to your day job, I would
Please.
appreciate that.
Please.
Okay.
And about that 49er stuff you tried to pull, don't ever interrupt the Cowboys like that, man. We have a star on our helmet for a reason.
Oh, wow. Oh, so any other critiques, gentlemen?
No, just make sure you wear that star whenever you get a chance.
Okay, what about you, Coach?
He said it best.
I'm pretty sure you guys got some more for me. We'll see you next week.